In a sterile lab on a barren moon, the Coalition's newest experiment reached its final stage. The clone's eyes snapped open, bubbles escaping his mouth, his expression sharp and calculating. Within seconds, his fist punched through the reinforced glass, shattering it into 1,000 shards. He stepped out of the wreckage and tore the monitoring patches from his chest, ignoring the blood that welled up. Naked and dripping, he scanned the room until his eyes landed on a simple white bedsheet. His hands began twisting the fabric into a tight cord with practiced, clinical precision. In the corridor outside, a Coalition guard made a routine patrol, weapon lowered, helmet visor reflecting the red emergency lights. The clone moved like a shadow, the garrote looping around the guard's neck before a single sound could escape. He stripped the security badge and shock rifle from the limp body, then dragged the guard out of sight. 14 minutes after drawing its first breath, this clone was armed, free, and utterly lethal. The lab had no idea. The clone moved through the silent corridors like a ghost, the stolen badge granting him access through each checkpoint. He found a wall-mounted terminal, its holographic interface glowing green in the dark. His fingers moved with instinctive precision. The file opened. Subject L-119, genetic source, Sergeant Lucas Reeves. Status, active cryo. Memory extraction scheduled for 0800 tomorrow.
A copy. All combat data, no emotional weight. The original is still viable.
He pulled up the facility schematic and located the director's office on sub-level 2. The cryo storage was one level below. He moved away from the terminal, headed toward the central lift. The route was clear. For now, a second guard emerged from a side junction, fumbling for a sidearm, surprise widening his eyes behind the visor. The clone closed in, seizing the guard's wrist and twisting it until the weapon clattered to the floor. A sharp twist snapped the guard's neck. The clone dragged the body into a maintenance closet and took the badge. 2 guards down. He continued toward the director's office, a silent instrument of purpose. The security hub was a circular room lined with holographic monitors. Unattended, the clone swiped the guard's badge and locked the door behind him. He slid into the main console chair, and his fingers stormed across the alien keyboard. Firewalls cracked beneath the assault of inherited military cyber training.
Intrusion, countermeasures neutralized. Full spectrum surveillance access achieved.
Classified files spilled onto the screens. The memory extraction would liquefy the original's neural architecture. Lethal, irreversible, more logs. The Coalition had attempted this with 17 other species. Every original died. The clones were terminated after interrogation.
I am unauthorized asset L-119. Standard protocol is immediate termination. The director will order my destruction.
He pulled up the director's location. Office B12, 2 decks up. Then he began rerouting patrol routes and locking down adjacent corridors. He triggered a silent alert in a distant east wing, a false breach to draw security away from his path. The grid was now a weapon in his hands. He rose from the terminal, 29 minutes since consciousness. He now had full control of the facility's nervous system. He exited the hub and headed for the director's office, moving with the steady purpose of a man who had already planned every step. The clone walked into the director's office without a word, lowered himself into the visitor chair, and interlaced his fingers. His eyes never left the alien's face.
You were decanted 43 minutes ago. This is not possible.
I am requesting citizenship and immediate release from this facility. If you refuse, I will escalate. You have one chance.
Release. You are Coalition property. You have no rights. I will have you terminated and decanted again until you comply.
The clone rose as if pulled by a string. In one motion, his hands were around the director's throat. A sharp twist, and the alien slumped, eyes glassing over. He released the body and turned to the desk terminal, his bloody fingers already working the interface. He bypassed the biometric lock with the director's still warm hand, then pulled up the extraction schedule. The screen confirmed. Memory extraction for subject Lucas Reeves. Procedure start. 0800. Original subject termination to occur upon completion.
6 hours and 47 minutes until the window closes. I can reach the cryopod in under 10.
He straightened, stepping over the director, and moved into the corridor, heading for the cryo-storage level. The clone pulled up his stolen tablet and triggered a site-wide evacuation alarm. Klaxons blared, and corridors flooded with panicked personnel.
The false breach in the East Wing is drawing primary security response. Window to clear the lower levels is approximately 3 minutes.
As he rounded the corner toward cryo-storage, a ceiling-mounted auto turret unfolded, its barrels spinning to life. The clone threw himself behind a bulkhead, raised the shock rifle, and fired. Energy bolts sizzled against the turret's casing. A precise shot breached its power core, and the turret exploded in a shower of sparks and shrapnel. Beyond the door, the cryo-storage chamber was deathly quiet. Rows of empty pods lined the walls, their glass dark. Only one pod glowed with a soft blue light, tendrils of frost creeping up its surface. Through the frosted glass, Lucas Reeves floated in cryogenic fluid, his face peaceful, electrodes dotting his temples. A small holographic display read, "Subject L-119. Lucas Reeves. Vital signs. Stable. Extraction readiness. Optimal." The clone placed his palm flat against the frost-covered glass, then turned toward the control panel. He pressed the initiation plate. The cryopod hummed to life, and a countdown flickered on the panel. 10, 9, 8. Behind him, the blast door hissed open. A third guard shouldered in, his helmet swiveling toward the sound of the pod. The clone spun, catching the guard's helmet and wrenching it sideways. A muted crack, and the man went limp before he could fire. He lowered the body to the floor, stripped the security badge, and added a second sidearm to his belt. Returning to the pod, he watched the countdown scroll. 3, 2. The cryofluid inside began draining, swirling around the original's still form.
3 guards eliminated. Facility systems under my control. Original subject reviving.
Inside the frosted glass, the original's fingers twitched, then pressed weakly against the interior wall. The clone cocked his head slightly, cataloging the movement. No other reaction escaped him. The countdown reached 0. A soft chime echoed, and the pod seals unlocked, releasing a cloud of Arctic vapor. Through the dissipating fog, the clone saw his own face, identical in every line, begin to stir. The original Lucas erupted from the pod with raw, unreasoning fury, swinging a fist at the face that mirrored his own. The clone shifted just enough to miss, caught the wrist, and torqued it, driving the original back against the icy pod. The clone held him there, leverage and precision neutralizing every struggle without causing injury.
Get this thing off me. What did you do to me? Where am I?
You are on Helion Minor, a Black Site Coalition lab. I am your clone, decanted 47 minutes ago.
Clone? The Coalition doesn't have cloning. They couldn't?
Operation Chimera Fallback. You whispered the code to Corporal Delaney when the extraction went hot. No one else survived to know that.
The original's resistance collapsed. That phrase was buried under 3 layers of compartmentalized silence. No interrogator could have known it.
He has my memories. Every one. They made him from me.
The clone released his grip and stepped back, allowing the original to sag against the pod, the fight replaced by hollow, dawning horror.
The director refused my demand. I killed him. The facility is in chaos, but that window won't last.
You killed the director. Show me. I can't just take your word for it.
The clone turned without a word and led the way out of the cryo-storage chamber. The original followed, his eyes taking in the flashing alarms, the overturned equipment, the blood smear on a bulkhead.
The alarms are genuine. The guards are dead. He really did this alone.
They reached the director's office. The body lay slumped across the desk, neck twisted, skin already fading to pale gray.
You did this with your bare hands. In under an hour?
47 minutes. I had their security grid. We don't have much time.
I need a weapon. if we're fighting our way out. I am not following you unarmed.
The clone pulled a pistol from his belt and placed it in the original's hand. The original's fingers closed around the grip. The original tucked the pistol into his waistband and flexed his fingers. Just as he was about to speak, a holographic alert flickered across the director's terminal. The clone leaned over the console, his eyes scanning rapidly. A facility schematic bloomed in red, with a countdown superimposed, 30 o'clock.
Remote failsafe triggered. The Coalition has initiated site destruction. We have less than 30 minutes.
Then we move. Now, what's the fastest way to a shuttle?
Hangar Bay is 2 decks up. I've cleared a path, but the self-destruct will scramble protocols. Expect resistance.
He could have left me in cryo. He didn't. Maybe there's something more to this copy than I thought. I don't trust you. But I trust that you want to live. Let's go.
Without another word, they moved toward the door. 2 soldiers, one lived and one created, now bound by the same ticking clock. The corridor outside was chaos. Personnel still scrambled, unaware the entire facility was about to become a crater. They turned toward the hangar access shaft, leaving the dead director behind. The countdown a relentless pulse in the back of their shared minds. They rounded a corner into a hail of gunfire. A 4-man patrol had dug in behind a barricade, ripping the walls with energy bolts.
4 hostiles entrenched. Suppressing fire and flank would be optimal, but time constraint makes direct assault viable.
The original opened up with his pistol, drawing the patrol's attention while the clone vaulted over a fallen beam, rifle barking. 2 guards dropped. The remaining 2 retreated, sealing a blast door behind them. A momentary silence fell.
You had a clear shot to the hangar. You could have left without me. Why didn't you?
Leaving you would have allowed the Coalition to extract our shared combat data from your mind. You are a threat to my autonomy. Freeing you neutralizes that threat. Additionally, my directive is self-preservation. Allowing another sentient to be destroyed when it posed no immediate threat was inefficient.
He just called me sentient. That's not a tactical calculation. That's almost moral. You think of yourself as a person, not a weapon.
The clone gave no answer beyond a single, almost undetectable nod. Then he nodded toward the blast door and resumed the advance. They bypassed the sealed doors and entered the central control node, a circular room surrounded by dormant holographic monitors.
I have compiled evidence of the cloning program. Transmitting it now will ensure its termination, but it may accelerate the self-destruct.
Do it. They need to know what's been done here. Some things are worth the risk.
The clone's hands flew across the console. A Coalition seal bloomed on the main screen, replaced by a progress bar. 12%, 31%, 58%. A text overlay flickered. Evidence packet. Cloning facility operations. Human experimentation. Transmission 63. A secondary alert screamed. The network breach had been detected. The self-destruct timer dropped from 25 minutes to 15.
Acceleration consistent with counter-intrusion protocols. We now have a narrower window.
15 minutes. We won't make it if we wait for the upload to finish. Let it run. We move.
The clone gave a curt nod, unplugging a data spike from the console and driving the evidence onward through a hardened mesh. They bolted from the control node, leaving the transmission to burn its way into the Coalition's heart. They sprinted into a junction just as a new squad rounded the far end, plasma bolts shredding the air.
Cover me. I can seal the blast doors.
The original laid down, suppressing fire, while the clone's hands blurred across the terminal. Heavy doors began sliding shut along the corridor. The wall of metal dropped in sequence, but the original dived through the last gap, finding himself locked on the guard's side.
He's on the other side. He could run. He should run. There's no logical reason to save me.
On the other side, the clone hesitated for half a second, then slammed the emergency override, forcing the door back up. He stepped forward, firing point blank at the guards, his body a shield as the original scrambled back under the rising door. A bolt seared his side, leaving a raw streak across his ribs. The door crashed down again, sealing away the dying guards.
You opened the door. That was not efficient. That was not logical. Why?
I don't know. I just didn't want you to die.
They paused in a side corridor. The clone's hand pressed to his burned side. The original's gaze lingered on the wound.
Thank you. I owe you. But you didn't have to do that.
I did it because I wanted to. I don't have a word for it yet. But I'm not sure it was logic.
You remind me of myself. Before the war took everything. Maybe we're more than copies. Maybe we're brothers.
The clone's steps faltered. He looked at the original, a flicker of something unreadable. Then the ghost of a nod, a distant explosion shook the corridor, snapping them back to urgency. The holographic timer on a wall panel read 7 minutes. They sprinted, the facility groaning around them. Girders crashed, and sparks rained from ruptured conduits.
Why need a shuttle? What's the plan?
I have a ship prepped in the hangar. Just stay with me.
They moved with new synchronization. 2 mirrors of the same will, no longer just allies, something else. A massive coalition soldier in powered armor blocked the hangar access, a rotary cannon humming to life.
Heavy armor. I'll draw his fire. You flank right and take the shot.
The original hesitated for half a second, then nodded and slipped along the wall. The clone pulled a flashbang from his belt and pitched it in a long arc. The flashbang detonated, and the clone charged, rifle blazing. The original took a knee, aimed at the guard's visor. A single pistol shot cracked through the visor. The guard slumped, minigun clattering, but a stray round from the dying guard caught the clone high in the shoulder, sending him spinning against a bulkhead. The original reached him, pulling the clone upright. Blood soaked through the clone's fingers.
Functional. 4 minutes on the clock. Go.
The original tore a strip from his sleeve, bound the wound, and pulled the clone forward. They burst into the hangar bay. Dozens of combat drones descended from the ceiling, targeting sensors flaring.
I can disable them from the control booth. Cover me.
The clone sprinted for the console, ignoring the pain in his shoulder. The original laid down suppressive fire, drawing the swarm's attention. At the console, the clone's bloody fingers danced over the holographic interface, slipping past the drone's security with a sequence of overrides.
Override codes bypassed. Deactivating swarm in 3, 2, 1.
The entire swarm froze midair, lights dying, then clattered to the deck in a metallic rain. A wall-mounted timer flashed. 0 hours, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The facility shuddered with a deeper tremor.
Go, now.
They pounded across the hangar deck, weaving through fallen drones, the shuttle's ramp glowing ahead. The clone grabbed the handrail, hauling himself onto the ramp, the original half a step behind. Inside the cramped cockpit, the clone dropped into the co-pilot's seat, his bloody shoulder staining the harness, but his hands moved with unwavering calm.
Punch it. We've got less than a minute.
His fingers raced across the console, overriding pre-flight checks, diverting all available power to the main engines.
Hatch mechanism stuck, forcing emergency closure.
He slammed a fist onto the manual release, and the ramp retracted with a grinding screech, sparks showering the bulkhead. The original shoved the throttle to maximum. The shuttle catapulted out of the hangar, the blast doors scraping against the hull. Behind them, the facility detonated, a silent, white-hot flower of destruction, the shockwave ripping across the lunar surface. The ship lurched violently, alarms screaming. Then the clones stabilized their climb with rapid counter-thrust adjustments.
Shockwave cleared. Minor hull damage. All systems operational. We're alive.
The original exhaled, then turned to the clone, a tired, genuine smile breaking through. Not bad for a copy. The shuttle drifted through the dark. The clone stared out the viewport, his reflection faint against the stars.
We're clear of the system, but we can't run forever. What do you want, now that you are free?
I have processed the concept of freedom. My conclusion, I want to watch a sunrise that I didn't have to kill to see.
That's surprisingly simple. I know a place, New Haven. It's an agrarian colony. No military, no cloning, just crops and quiet.
Agriculture. I have no relevant data, but I can learn.
So can I. I've spent enough time holding a rifle. Maybe we can hold something else.
That would be acceptable. More than acceptable.
The original entered the coordinates. The nav computer hummed, and the shuttle adjusted course toward a distant green world.
There it is, New Haven. We'll be there in 2 days.
The clone watched the planet grow in the view screen, a faint half-smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Weeks after landing, a small cabin stood at the edge of a sprawling field. 2 identical men moved through the crops at dawn.
Pass me the axe, Caleb.
Caleb. That name is acceptable.
A faint warmth crept into the clone's voice, a crack in the clinical mask. They worked until midday, then rested in the shade of the half-built barn.
I never thought I'd be grateful for a clone, but here we are.
I have concluded that being a brother is acceptable. More than acceptable.
As dusk fell, they sat on the porch steps, shoulders nearly touching, watching the sky burn orange.
This is what I wanted. A sunrise without killing, and a sunset without fear.
The clone, now Caleb in all but official record, allowed himself a small, genuine smile. A dusty, holographic tablet on the table flickered to life, a delayed Coalition news broadcast finally reaching New Haven. The headline read, "Coalition disbands cloning program. Formal apology issued to Earth following evidence leak."
It's over. They can't make more like you. The program is dead.
Good. One was enough. They should have never tried.
After everything they did, don't you feel anything? Relief? Vindication?
I feel the sun on my face when I work. I feel the dirt under my nails. I feel the quiet. That's enough for me.
The original stared at him for a long moment, searching for the old coldness, but all he found was a quiet contentment that he himself was only beginning to understand. They set the tablet aside and stepped out fully into the fading light, the news already forgotten.
Then that's enough for me, too. Let's check the irrigation before dark.
The 2 brothers walked side by side into the rows of green, their shadows stretching long, the past finally silent, the future their own. The next morning, the 2 men split firewood in the clearing, axes rising and falling in perfect silent rhythm.
Wait, I've decided. My name. It's Caleb. I want to be called Caleb.
Caleb, you are sure?
Yes. It was offered, and I have chosen it. Caleb.
Caleb Shaw. Then I'll be Jacob. We're the Shaw brothers now. No going back.
They clasped hands, one flesh and blood, one made in a tank. But the grip was the same, identical calluses, the same scar across the left thumb.
Caleb Shaw. I have a name. I have a brother. This is what I chose.
Welcome to the family, brother.
For the first time, the clone, Caleb, laughed, a quiet, surprised sound that seemed to catch even him off guard. They picked up their axes, Caleb and Jacob, and returned to the woodpile, the sound of splitting logs marking time in their quiet, chosen world. The sun crested the hills, turning the fields gold. 2 identical silhouettes swung axes in a rhythm older than memory.
This motion, lift, swing, split, has replaced target acquisition and fire sequences. I find it preferable.
Their movements were so perfectly synchronized that it was impossible to tell who led and who followed. From the hilltop, the farm looked like a painting, the cabin a small dark square, the fields endless green.
I spent a decade trying to be the best soldier. Now, I just want to be the best brother.
They paused, resting their axes on the block, sweat tracing identical paths down their temples. The clone, Caleb, drew a long breath, and for the first time, The constant calculus behind his eyes was still. Jacob caught his gaze and held it. No words passed, but something fundamental was understood. They returned to the woodpile. The steady thud of steel on oak, the only sound in the morning hush. The farm drowsed under the climbing sun. And the two brothers worked on, their past a fading echo, their future as open as the sky. They slung their axes over their shoulders and began the walk back to the cabin, the morning sun warm on their faces.
This is enough.
Jacob glanced over, a small smile touching his own lips, and nodded once. No more words were needed. They walked on in comfortable silence, the rustle of crops and the distant call of a morning bird the only sounds. They passed the porch table, where a holographic document still hovered. Caleb Shaw, citizen, Agra Colony 7. The name was permanent now. Caleb didn't pause to look. His fingers brushed the edge of the projection, a fleeting gesture. Then he kept walking. At the edge of the field, they stopped and turned to face the sun, its rays stretching across the land. The farm drowsed under the morning sky, every row of green touched with gold, the cabin a dark, quiet shape behind them. Two brothers, one born of flesh, one born of a tank, stood side by side under the same wide sky. Their war over, the sun rose higher, and the golden light swallowed them, leaving only the land, the sky, and the promise of a quiet life.